We're following breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. Our NFL insider Jason La Canfora confirming the news that Aaron Rodgers is out for Sunday's game against the Chiefs. He has tested positive for COVID-19. We have been waiting for this highly anticipated matchup between 7-1 Green Bay, defending AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs. It's funny because the line had moved around so much. KC, look ahead line, favored by 2.5. Then their poor showing, although it be a win against the Giants on Monday night, had Green Bay favored by 2.5. And now at Caesars Sportsbook, that has been taken off the board to then reaccount for Jordan Love and then figure out a line for this next game. When we take a look at the Packers, 7 straight this season after that Week 1 loss against New Orleans. It was a game played in Jacksonville. 38-3 was the result, and since then the Packers have reeled off 7 straight wins, which includes a very impressive performance on Thursday Night Football in the desert, handing the Arizona Cardinals their first loss of the season. All right, we have senior NFL reporter Jonathan Jones joining us here on CBS Sports HQ. The impact is obvious here, JJ, but what more can you tell us about the situation surrounding Green Bay now that Aaron Rodgers will be out?
Yeah, it's Jordan Love time there in Green Bay against the Kansas City Chiefs. And, you know, we've been dealing with player positives now for more than a year, unfortunately, so we sort of know how this goes. If Aaron Rodgers is vaccinated and he tests positive, but he's asymptomatic, he's able to return after 10 days from the time that the sample was collected. If he is unvaccinated, of course, it'll be 10 days there. Excuse me, if he's unvaccinated, it'll be 10 days from when the sample was collected, so long as he has no more symptoms and continues or begins to test negative. So that's what the Green Bay Packers are dealing with.
All right, and this is, just to be clear, different than what the Devontae Adams situation was, because he was going to be able to have 2 negative tests before the game, which did not turn out. But for sure, Aaron Rodgers this time will be missing time?
Yeah, it's unclear exactly, with COVID, how exactly he and what he tested positive for, if he's vaccinated or unvaccinated right now, but he's not going to be playing against Kansas City.
All right, so what do we anticipate with Jordan Love? We've seen a little bit of him on the field right now, but what does this Packer offense look like without Aaron Rodgers and with Jordan Love?
Well, it's certainly not a team that you would have bet going into Arizona down their top 3 wide receivers would be able to win. The reason that the Green Bay Packers are still in the top echelon of the NFC is because, of course, of Aaron Rodgers. We see Jordan Love's numbers there in college. This is a guy who is not and has not been ready to take the reins of an NFL franchise. He redshirted last year. We didn't really see a whole lot from him in the preseason that make you say, yeah, he's going to be able to go in there and beat the 2-time defending AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs. However, if there is a defense for Jordan Love to play against, it's the Kansas City Chiefs, who just cannot really stop anyone other than the New York Giants, as they were able to do. The Green Bay Packers should be able to run the football, should be able to throw the football, even though the Kansas City Chiefs benched Daniel Sorensen for Juan Thornhill finally. He should be able to attack their second corner, should be able to attack their linebackers. And so, we're going to see if the Kansas City Chiefs will have Melvin Ingram on the field to help Chris Jones as he slides back inside like he started to do last week against the Giants. But again, if Jordan Love is going to face a defense and perform well against a defense, or at least hope to, it would certainly be the Kansas City Chiefs.
It's interesting. There were some rumblings about potentially at the deadline moving on from Jordan Love, but for Green Bay Packers fans, at least getting him for this game, because he was not moved at the deadline, 4 p.m. there. Before I let you go here, again, we anticipate this is probably maybe a 1-game blip here, but they are fighting for a 1 seed. We know with the new playoff format, of course, that the top seed does indeed matter in terms of a bye week here. What do you think about Green Bay at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, they have Seattle after this Kansas City game. And so obviously we're going to have to wait and see if Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to play in this game against the Seattle Seahawks in Week 10, if Russell Wilson is going to be playing in that game. But yes, they're most certainly in competition for that 1 seed and being able to play at Lambeau Field there throughout the playoffs. They got that last year. Didn't really matter, of course, the NFC title game, even though Tom Brady gave them the football 3 times. in pursuit of that next Lombardi there in Green Bay. So you don't really like the Packers' chances right now because you look at this Kansas City game and it seems like a loss for the Green Bay Packers. You look at the Seattle game, if Aaron Rodgers is out, if Russell Wilson is back, it might be a pick-em, but maybe a loss for the Green Bay Packers there. Certainly they're going to win the NFC North. Aaron Rodgers will be back, and we hope, a speedy recovery and hope that he's asymptomatic, et cetera, et cetera. But, these are two very important games in a very, very tight top tier in the NFC, and you cannot afford to lose your reigning MVP.
That's the latest with the breaking news. Jonathan Jones, appreciate it as always. Want to let you know about the Pick Six podcast. They'll be talking about these changes with the breaking news today. Again, Aaron Rodgers out testing positive for COVID-19.
Breaking news out of the NFL when it comes to Aaron Rodgers testing positive for COVID-19. Our Jason La Canfora confirming that today. Ruling him out for Sunday's game against the Kansas City Chiefs, a big one we were hoping to see between Mahomes and Rodgers there. Packers and Rodgers, well, they've been on a tear since week one. Remember, they lost to the Saints? It's been 7 straight since then, and the numbers for AR-12 have been on the money. 19 touchdowns to 1 interception. The reason why they're that top seed right now in the NFC, but we shall see. By the way, we'll get that first start from Jordan Love against Kansas City on Sunday. Join us now, the guru, Dave Richard. He's been busy today. Your initial reaction here with Rodgers out for Sunday with COVID?
Well, you can't use him, and you can't feel good about Davante Adams, but you can feel good about that run game. Remember what we saw from the Packers offense against Arizona just last week when Aaron Rodgers didn't have anybody at wide receiver other than Randall Cobb. We saw them run the football a lot. We saw A.J. Dillon get involved. Aaron Jones did his thing. I bet that's where the Packers go, and they can win this matchup against Kansas City because of that run game. Jordan Love can take advantage off of that, off play action. He's also a mobile quarterback. We saw him do that at Utah State. So it wouldn't surprise me in the least if this offense was still capable, but just not nearly as explosive as it would be with Aaron Rodgers.
When we take a look at the offensive group, and as you mentioned, they had an opportunity with Davante Adams out on Thursday Night Football to run the ball more, and people joke around and say, oh, well, Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers will never be able to do it. They did it. The Dillon aspect of it had a little bit of fumble 2 games ago. You think they're confident with him here?
They have to be. They really don't have another option here because of Jordan Love, who was okay in the preseason. He had a good completion rate. It was 68% in the preseason, but that's preseason. That's against substandard competition. He's going to obviously see a step up, even if it's Kansas City and even if it's that terrible Kansas City defense. I still can't help but think that they will be a challenge for Jordan Love. A.J. Dillon's going to have to get the ball. He'll get it in the passing game a little bit, but I think they see him as a bruiser. We call him Prince Henry because King Henry is the big burly stud. This guy's like Derrick Henry in that he's a physical running back who can attack at the line of scrimmage. So they're going to have to use him. I think fantasy managers can look at A.J. Dillon as a possible non-PPR flex this week and definitely as a bye week replacement at running back. And he's a tradable piece right now. Derrick Henry is lost in every single fantasy league. The team that lost Derrick Henry, they had to scramble to try and just get Adrian Peterson off their waiver wire. If they didn't get him and they still need a fit at running back, at least for a week, A.J. Dillon can be that guy. If you've got A.J. Dillon, you should try and sell high on him, get something really good in exchange.
If they do run into a problem with the run game there, do you trust Jordan Love to throw the ball 20, 30 times a game? I know that's not the formula. When you have Aaron Rodgers, but you don't have him, you got Jordan Love. You got to see what he can do against his Kansas City offense.
Well, look, the problem with Jordan Love is that no one's really going to start him in fantasy unless it's a 2-quarterback league as a bye week replacement. And yeah, if you're desperate for a quarterback, Jordan Love, you're going to go to him because he's got a pulse. He's going to throw those 20 to 30 passes that you talked about, Brandon, and he'll be able to give you something in your fantasy league. But he's not the guy you're going to go and get as a replacement for Aaron Rodgers. We'll talk about some of those guys in a second. What it does to Davante Adams, though, is that it lowers his ceiling as a number 2 wide receiver. You can't look at him and say, surefire number 1 guy, I can count on him for 8 catches and 125 yards and a touchdown. That's done. With Jordan Love under center and with the Packers expected to be much more of a run-heavy team against Kansas City, which kind of makes sense given the matchup, I think you're going to see Davante Adams settle in at maybe 5 or 6 catches, 60 or 70 yards. Maybe he'll be lucky to score. That's a number 2 receiver.
How about lastly here, Dave? Any love for Mercedes Lewis with Robert Tonyan out from the last game here? And usually that would be a quarterback safety blanket. But as you mentioned, Jordan Love, the prospects aren't entirely high.
Nope, none whatsoever. Not for Mercedes Lewis, not for Josiah DeGara. These tight ends that are going to replace Robert Tonyan, they might be good to get 1 or 2 catches. You'll be lucky if they score a touchdown. You can find a better tight end off the waiver wire than those guys.
All right, of course, you've been a busy man today.
Hold on a second.
Oh.
If you've got Aaron Rodgers, you need another quarterback this week. Go to your waiver wire, see if you can find Tua, who's got an amazing matchup against Houston. Maybe Tyrod Taylor, if he ends up being activated off of IR, he's getting the Dolphins. He should be great. Derek Carr is a good option. Taysom Hill, if he's cleared out of the concussion protocol, should be good for at least 20 fantasy points. Don't forget about Ryan Tannehill. That's a quarterback that's going to have to throw a little bit more because he's missing Derrick Henry.
All right, we got plenty of injuries and then also a lot of guys on COVID as well. So now those backups are starting to be high when it comes to putting them on that roster.
Being
now.
a
You kind of need
fantasy
them right now.
football manager is a full-time job now, man, just to make sure you've got a team to field. It's crazy.
That's why we got you here to answer all the big questions, as always.
Hopefully we're helping people out.
All right, Dave Richard, as always. Got you on the fantasy football today. The guys will be loaded. Look, news out of New Orleans and Green Bay. Jordan Love, is he worth the pickup? Dave doesn't think so, but you never know. It's that time of year. Injuries are starting to pile up. You might want to sneak him in as that QB2. Download and give him a follow.